Hi everyone, today I'm going to share with you 3 of my favorite ways to inject color into your makeup look or your eyeshadow look. I tend to wear a lot of neutral and brown smoky eyes on the everyday, or sometimes I don't even wear any eyeshadow. I'll go with black liner, and that's, practical and all good and well, but every now and again I like to inject some color and bring out my bright eyeshadows because I do have quite a lot of them and they don't get as much love as they deserve. So I thought I'd share with you 3 of my favorite ways. On top of that, this sort of was spurred on by a few of you commenting that you really liked my eyeshadow look from one of my videos where I was sharing with you my palette collection. I was wearing that bright yellow eye, so I'll show you how to do that as well because I think that is a really great way to add some color, and you can really swap it out with any bright eye color that you have. So if you want to see that, then just keep watching. So one of my favorite ways to inject color is by adding it to the lower lash line. I find that it's kind of like my go-to method of wearing bright colors because it's not over the top and it's a little bit more subtle than wearing it all over your mobile lid, which I like to do on certain occasions but not all the time. So for this look, I'm going to be going with a neutral palette. So I'm going to be taking my Lorac Mega Pro 3, which has a lot of earthy tones, browns, all that sort of stuff. Of course, you can use whatever palette you want. I'm just trying to use up all the makeup that I have because I haven't touched this palette in a while. And then for the pop of color, I'm going to take Sokoto from Juvia's Place, the Saharan palette, because this shade is lovely and I haven't used it yet, so I'm going to try and use this one. Of course, again, you can substitute this for any bright color that you have in your collection that you want to use on your lower lash line. So as usual, I'm going to start by priming my eyelids and taking the primer that I always use, which is the Concrete Minerals Electric Eye Primer. I really like it. It's a good primer, it's affordable, and it works well. So now that I've primed my lids, I'm going to be taking Walnut, which is a mid-tone brown, and adding that to my crease area just to give it some dimension. I forget how pigmented these shades are. If you found that you've gone way too over the top, like I feel like I have here, you can just blend it out and later on just add some concealer and fix it up. Totally did not realize how dark this shade was. This is a lot darker than what I'd normally add in my crease. So next I'm going to take a darker shade. I'm going to take the shade Bark, which is a dark brown, and then add that into the outer V just to smoke it out a little bit. But I don't want it to be super dramatic because obviously I want to keep the top lid fairly simple. And again, just blending it out if you need to. I'm also going to add a bit of brow bone highlight, probably the shade Crepe, which is a cream color. Just because I don't want to, I feel like it can get a little bit muddy and it just brightens up this area a little bit. So that's pretty much all I do with my top eyelid. I like to keep things fairly simple and have maximum 3 eyeshadows. Generally, I prefer to keep it all matte, but you can have a little bit of shimmer if you want. Next, I'm going to go in with Sokoto, which is the bright shade here, and put it on the lower lash line. Reason being that I don't want to detract from the bright colors, so that's why I want to sort of balance it out and not have the top eyelid too crazy. Generally, I like to keep the color a little bit lower and then smoke it out so that after I put mascara on, you can still see the bright color. And there you have it. I'm just going to add a bit of concealer because I find that it's a little bit muddy around this area and I want to keep everything fairly clean so that I don't look so tired and it doesn't look super muddy. So what I usually do after this is add some wings and then mascara, so that's what I'm going to do. However, if you just want to add mascara and then go about your way, then by all means just do what makes you feel comfortable. So this is the final look. I've just added some winged eyeliner, mascara and this liquid lipstick in Vintage Avenue by Makeup Monsters, and I've just realized that I haven't even done my cheeks either, but who cares, because it's after work and I'm going to be taking this all off after I finish filming this. But anyway, I just wanted to give you an idea of how I would wear this bright eyeshadow. Of course, again, you can swap this out for any color you want, but I think this is quite an easy and fun way to wear bright eyeshadow without looking, you know, super intense, which I like, and this is generally how I would wear it if I didn't want to look over the top or anything over the top. So another one of my favorite ways to wear colorful eyeshadow is using it as a liner. If you've seen some of my previous tutorials, you know that I often do this. I'll take a pressed eyeshadow and scrape a bit of it out using something like a spatula, and then use a mixing medium to create a gel-like texture in order to use it as liner. Now there are a few different ways to do this. You can either, again, use a pressed powder and scrape it out using your spatula into something like a palette like this, or you can use it the back of your hand. They both work well. Or you can use a loose eyeshadow, which generally creates a lot less mess because you don't have to scrape it out and all that sort of stuff. So today, for the purpose of making it easy for myself, I'm going to use a loose eyeshadow, and I've recently purchased these eyeshadows from Darling Girl Cosmetics, and there's some lovely shades in here, so I think I'm going to use one of these and show you how I use it as a liner. So I have primed my eyelids, and I am going to use a neutral palette just to add some depth and dimension to my eyelid. Of course, you can just go in with eyeliner if you'd like, but if you do want to go in with some eyeshadow, I recommend putting the eyeshadow first and then the liner on top, just so that you don't muddy the eyeliner. So I'm going to be using the Master Palette by Mario from Anastasia Beverly Hills as my neutral palette. Again, you can use whatever neutral palette that you have. This is just one that I'm trying to give some love, and I have already primed my eyelids using my Concrete Minerals Electric Eye Primer. I'm just going to take a crease brush and go in with the shade Isabel, which is a warm brown shade, and just again put that in my crease. And I'm using a Wayne Goss brush, which I really like. They're really nice, precise, detailed brushes, and you can really get into the areas that you like with them because of the shape. I'm just going to blend everything in with a soft blending brush. Next, I'm going in with the shade Violetta, which is a matte dark brown shade, again on the warmest spectrum, and I'm going to use that shade for the outer V area just to deepen that up and create a bit of dimension to my eyelid. And I'm just taking the same brush so that I don't have to wash too many brushes. I'm just going to bring it out slightly because I do like to elongate the eyeshadow so it looks like I have kind of wider eyes, and just blend that all out. If you feel like you've taken the dark shade a little bit too high, which I feel like I have, you can just go in again with that same crease shade and just add a little bit more in that area. Which is what I'm going to do. And then blend, blend, blend. I'm also going to take Violetta and put it in on my lower lash line. I feel like if I don't add eyeshadow to my lower lash line, they seem really bare. Because I have pretty much non-existent lower lashes, so they definitely need to be defined for me. And I take it from the outer V almost all the way in, not quite. That's generally how I like to do it. And for funsies, I'm going to go in with this metallic champagne kind of gold shade and take that on the center of my eyelid. You don't have to do this, but you know, I want to make it a little bit different from what I did last time, and it is a really pretty shade just on the center. and then just blend it out a bit so it melds in with everything else. Now, because this smoky eye is so warm, I would usually take a shade that is warm as well and put it on my lower lash line, like a orange shade or a warm red shade. But I'm gonna do something a little bit different today because I think this shade is really stunning. This is Pools of Passion by Darling Girl, and it's gorgeous. So I'm gonna use that with my Inglot Duoline and mix that into a palette. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit of this loose eyeshadow and tip it onto the back of the lid. Then I'm going to put it onto my palette. Once I have however much I think that I need to have, hopefully, I'll go in with my Inglot Duoline and then add a couple of drops. So I'm going to mix it in with a brush here. And I didn't add too much Duoline at the start because I don't want it to be super runny. It's easier to start to add it slowly than add too much, and then you've got a really runny consistency that you need to add more eyeshadow. Once you've gotten it mixed all together at a consistency that's not too runny and not too thick, I just go in with another brush and dip it in and then use it like I would a gel liner. I'm just going to keep it really close to my lash line. Generally, you'll notice that when you mix a eyeshadow with a mixing medium, the liner will actually turn a darker shade. So this was a lot brighter than it is going onto my eyelid. So just note that if you wanted a lighter shade, then generally go for a few shades lighter than what you see when it's dry. I'm just going to do a small winged liner with this. So that's both eyes done. It's funny because as this one is setting, this one is going a little bit lighter when it's drying down, or else this one is still a little bit wet, so it's still kind of a dark blue. So this is the finished look. I've just added some lipstick. This one is Flesh 3 by Pat McGrath. It is a really beautiful color. I got these on Friday and I was so excited to try them out, so I've decided to try this shade on and I really love it. It's really comfortable. It's feeling very comfortable on my lips is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I think this is a really nice way to wear a bit of color on your eyelids, similar as when you wear on the bottom eyelash on the lower lash line, and just add a few smoky brown earthy shades to your eyelid. It just looks a little bit more pared down. So for this next look, I'm going to show you how to wear colorful eyeshadow on the mobile lid. I was inspired to do this look from Lisa Eldridge's tutorial on how to wear yellow, but you can pretty much swap it out with any other shade. So I'm going to use that same eyeshadow shade that I used in my eyeshadow palette collection video, which was this gorgeous yellow eyeshadow from Melt Cosmetics, and this is in the shade Neon. It's from their Radioactive stack, which I love. So because it's really bright, I think it's best to actually do your base after the eyeshadow, because with these ones, there's quite a lot of fallout as well. You can either, if you have already done your base, you could just put a tissue paper here, which is what I sometimes do, just to catch any fallout and apply your eyeshadow. But before I do any of that, I'm going to start with a base, and I'm going to use the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk 604, just because if you have any discoloration on your eyelid, the white is going to make the bright eyeshadow stand out even more. On top of that, I do have sort of dryish eyelids these days because it's winter and I do get a bit of mild eczema. And with these really bright shades, they can be really chalky on the eyelid and just not wear well. So I do find that having a base helps the eyeshadow stick better. Next, I'm going to go in with Neon and use a fairly dense shader brush and just tap off the excess, because again, a lot of fallout with this eyeshadow and just put it on my mobile lid. Some people like to put the crease shade in first, but I prefer to sort of map out where the bright eyeshadow is going to go and then go in with my crease shade later. Next, I'm just going to blend out any edges, any harsh edges, just so that it doesn't look so crazy. It does look crazy right now, but we're going to tone it down with some brown. Now, after you've got your bright eyeshadow on, I generally go in with a brown shade, and this is a technique I learned from Lisa Eldridge, who paired the yellow eyeshadow with a brown crease shade, which just kind of brings it down to earth a little bit more and just makes everything a little bit more wearable. So I'm just going to take these a combination of these brown shades, which is from the Warm Mattes palette by Viseart. It is my favorite matte eyeshadow palette at the moment because I use it all the time, and I'm just going to add that into the crease using a precise, detailed, fluffy brush. And just going right above that yellow into the crease. And again, I'm just going to blend a little bit more so it doesn't look super harsh, like I've got harsh lines or anything. So next thing I'm going to do is add some liner. In Lisa Eldridge's tutorial, she did use black, but I do find that brown adds a little bit more earthiness and makes it again a little bit more wearable. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this Inglot eyeliner in the shade 90. It's a dark brown, and just using a angled brush. And again, I'm just keeping it really close to my lash line because I don't want to lose any of that gorgeous pop of color. As usual, I'm going to do a winged liner because I like winged liner, but you can take it down to however far you want to go. So now that I've done my liner, I'm going to go in with a dark matte brown shade here and line my lower lash line to give it some much needed definition. So I've done the rest of my face except for my lipstick, and I'm going to go in with 1995 by Pat McGrath. Just want to try it out because it's a new lipstick. I feel like this shade would work really well, and I think it does. So this is the final look. I kind of screwed up my eyeliner a little bit, but it's late and I can't be bothered redoing it. So there you go, but you get the gist. I really love wearing yellow eyeshadow like this. I think that adding those brown earthy tones into the crease and as liner just helps make everything, I guess, a little bit more wearable and toned down. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this technique, and I think it would work well for, again, other bright eyeshadows. So those are my 3 favorite ways to wear colourful eyeshadow. I hope you found this useful, and let me know if you do try any of these looks out yourself. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite way to wear colourful eyeshadow is as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.